What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest gaming news each and every day. I'm Drew Bosley, that's Scott Savage, and you can join us at InsideTheGame.ca, our YouTube channel, and Inside the Game Official, those podcast services, thanks to our friends at Fired Up Network, and of course, those TV streaming platforms around the globe like Roku, Amazon Prime, ESTV, Jinx Esports TV, and a whole lot more. Scott, I want to remind everybody, tomorrow is the big day where I get to talk about Starfield for quite a while. So look for our review of that going up tomorrow at noon. You can find it on InsideTheGame.ca and our YouTube channel. Man, have I got a few things to say. There's no doubt about that. But we also have a lot to say today. Scott, what's on the show?
That's right. The Nintendo Switch 2 may have been shown behind closed doors. That's a big deal. Mimimi Games is shutting down. Baldur's Gate 3 developers are talking about DLC. And Rainbow Six movie gets an update.
An update on the movie. We'll see about Rainbow Six. Dude, Mimi's a heartbreak. I got a lot of things to talk about there. That one hurts, but it's understandable too. So let's get going. There's a lot to talk about today. Scott, the Switch 2 is on everybody's mind as of lately, and now all the Nintendo Switch 2 may have been shown behind closed doors at Gamescom. Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming. A new rumor has surfaced online thanks to Windows Central Manager editor Jez Corden, who has tweeted he's heard rumors that the Nintendo Switch 2 may have been shown behind closed doors at this year's Gamescom event. Whilst at face value, this could be another run-of-the-mill rumor, Insider Gaming has also heard similar rumors behind the scenes when speaking to its sources. Although we cannot pinpoint exactly what was shown and revealed, we know that Nintendo was at the event in a big way, allowing the press to get hands-on with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, for example. Insider Gaming is currently unable to verify the extent of what Nintendo has revealed and whether or not it means a reveal could be soon. Almost all reports suggest that the Nintendo Switch 2 is aiming for a release in the next 12 months, and although we're yet to personally collaborate these details, it does suggest that a reveal should be on the horizon. Quote, Switch was released 3 years earlier, and Nintendo is expected to release the successor to the Switch as early as next year, whereas PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S are at a different stage of the console's life cycle, end quote. A court document revealed during the recent case between Microsoft and the FTC. Dude, we were like this close from getting away from this whole FTC thing, and I couldn't be more excited. But here it is.
Little holdouts now have something to do with Nintendo. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, right? Whatever the case may be, the Nintendo Switch 2, it seems like the rumors, both publicly and behind the scenes, are hot. I'm going to say it's supposed to be heating up. So it's credible that an announcement is coming. There is rumors of a Nintendo Direct this week as well, Scott. So
yes, that is happening tomorrow, and I believe it's only about 20 minutes long. So I'm going to be tuned to that one.
Which sounds like it's going to be Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the main focus for that. Do you think we see anything on the Switch 2 there at all?
I am wondering.
Oh, it's so bad. Oh no, he did it, everybody. I'm so sorry. Oh,
I'm thinking about how exciting would it be? You get pulled backstage. Hey, check it out. Here's the Switch 2. Don't say anything. Well, it seems a little bit too good to be true.
It sure does, right? But the rumors are floating around. Jez has heard it. Tom's heard this as well through other sources. But who are they showing? Developers? That's who they've got to be showing, right? Apparently not the media, because nobody has a clue as to what's going on. But they want to get developers in. If you're at Gamescom, what developers are you pulling in? Are you pulling in some of the big AAA studios and some of the other, well-known for the AAA experience, Scott, that we don't currently really see when it comes to the Switch?
That would be very interesting, because the Switch 2 better be that much bigger of an upgrade to attract the AAA space. I think that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. But if you were to reveal, it seems kind of strange to just do a kind of a backroom show off, because traditionally you send out the dev kits.
Yeah.
And these developers should already have them, and there's been rumors of that as well. So it is all kind of shaping up together.
It certainly is. It sounds like we're going to be getting something here sooner than later, and we're all kind of waiting with bated breath right now. So what does this look like? What kind of power does it have behind it? We we do have almost kind of confirmation that it's an LCD screen, which is a little underwhelming, but I've also stated too that this now gives them the ability to sell to you the OLED screen in the future, because that's what Nintendo likes to do. How many iterations do we have on the Switch right now? Right?
Yeah,
so
no, they'll pair that with probably a hard drive expansion and then put it out a couple of years later.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that was the problem with the original Switch, as I recall.
It was, absolutely, but you could buy a memory card and yeah, right? It's always extra, 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 and that's how they kind of get you along. But it sounds exciting, though, that Nintendo is finally starting to step up to the plate and give us the next iteration. If you take a look at Tears of the Kingdom, dude, there's moments in there going, this could have been a lot better. Like, the game is great. Like, there's no knocks on the game, but if you had the power where we're currently at with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S-ish, like, dude, that could have brought that whole game up another 2, 4, dude, I'm gonna say another 10 notches. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, right, the Switch is so underpowered compared to where we are today, and when it launched, it was underpowered on the PS4 and the Xbox One. So
yeah,
like, that's how far outdated the Switch is. Granted, Nintendo's been able to craft their own magic over there and give us these high-res, somewhat experiences, right? Very artistically styled experiences.
Yeah.
But I'm still in that world, right? And I take a look at some of these things, and the brick is just a flat surface with a pasted texture on it. And I'm like, you guys are way behind. Like, way behind.
No, they could certainly do a lot better. Nintendo does a lot to make it kind of timeless with the stylization and just having it just HD enough. But I think it's time to put that to rest. It's time to join the big boys at the big table now.
Well, so there's been a lot of this talk too that Call of Duty's coming over, right? And all these other big titles are making their way over. And then we sit there and we scratch our head going, there's no way it can work on the Switch. So it has to be, it's coming over because the Switch 2 now has the power behind it to be capable of playing some of these games. Like, dude, there's no way you can play Call of Duty right now. The Call of Duty that we experience on a regular day, everyday basis, Corey's in there every single day playing that game. You put that on the Switch and everybody's like, like, that's the last place you want to play that game.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, probably maybe get 10 frames a second.
Well, and then, but if we go into the Switch 2, now here's the opportunity. We have the power behind hopefully behind this thing. And here, I'm asking Nintendo right now, give us a Pro controller with an off button, please. Let me turn my controller off. That was one of the most irritating things I've had to experience, because I'll sometimes slug my Switch around, but I'll bring my Pro controller with me. Problem is, dude, the minute a button is flipped or the analog stick is just like flicked by rolling around in whatever, my bag or with this, that, and the other, it turns it on. I'm like, I'm not playing, right? Like, let me turn it off. I couldn't believe that they missed that at all. So, I don't know. But I'm definitely anxious to see what the Switch 2 looks like. What developers are they pulling in? Are we going to get some of the third-party AAA experiences that we just currently don't have on the Switch?
And just how wacky is the controller going to be?
Dude, the 64 controller. Bring it back. Scott, I can't believe topic number 2. I understand, but it hurts me deeply inside. Mimimi Games is shutting down. Brendan Sinclair over GamesIndustry.biz. Mimimi Games is calling it quits after 15 years. The studio yesterday announced that the recently released Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, will be its final game. Dude, I loved that game. If you were into tactics and stealth, this is your game. And pirates, gave this a 10 on the show. That's how much I love this game. It was one of the best games for this genre that I have played this year. It is fantastic and it is worth everybody playing. But let's get into the article. Quote, dedicating the past decade and a half of our lives working on increasingly ambitious games took a heavy personal toll on us and our families, end quote. Mimimi co-founders Dominic Abe and Joannis Roth said, quote, after the release of Shadow Gambit, we decided it was the right time to prioritize our well-being and to put the brakes instead of signing up for another multi-year production cycle, end quote. The studio will continue to support Shadow Gambit and has a content update planned to launch later this year, but it will be, quote, ramping down the studio over the next few months, end quote. Mimimi said it is paying employees a bonus to assist them as they look for work. Abe and Roth said they don't know what they will do next, but, quote, we still love video games, end quote. Mimimi began working in Flash and iOS games, with a DaVinci receiving recognition for the Apple Design Awards in the Student Showcase category. Mimimi moved to premium PC titles with The Last Tinker, City of Colors, in 2014. While Roth told us The Last Tinker was a financial disaster in 2021 interview, he said the studio learned a lot from the experience that helped with its breakthrough hit, the 2016 Samurai era tactical stealth game Shadow Tactics: Blades of Shogun. And then from there it was followed up with the Wild West take on tactical stealth with Desperados 3 in 2020, and now as recently Shadow Gambit. Dude, they have had since Shadow Tactics: Blades of the Shogun was tough, but it had such a hit. And then we get into Wild West with Desperados 3, and I love that. And then we get into Shadow Gambit. I'm like, yo, I fell in love with Mimimi.
Yeah, it seems they've had a corner on the tactical market for quite some time now.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate because I don't think Shadow Gambit sold poorly, but that seems to be not what this is about. This is a studio taking on too many big projects, getting too big under their own weight, it seems. And well, at least there is something commendable would be the priority of putting your people first. If this is an issue where it's just not sustainable, it's a lot better to do this than to run afoul and push everybody beyond the brink.
Well, the games industry is a tough industry to be a part of, right? It's not a 9-to-5 job. It never has been. I don't know if it ever will be. I think studios are working more and more towards that, getting away from crunch. But dude, if it was just a 9-to-5 job, they wouldn't have to shut down, right?
Yeah.
They just go to work, do what they love, and then go home. Granted, we all want that, right? But sometimes in this industry, it just doesn't seem to be the case. And it's unfortunate because this is a fantastic studio, and we're going to lose one of the best when it comes to tactics stealth games that this industry has ever seen. Hopefully somebody can take this. I'm a huge fan of stealth, and this really hurts me as a gamer, but I understand because it is their well-being. It's like, you got to put yourself and your family first. That's priority number one. The games, dude, at the end of the day, it's just a hobby for the gamers, but it's a business they got to run too. When you get into the back end and back side of things, there's a lot more than just, hey, I'm going to work, I'm going to draw a couple things, or going to animate some stuff, and then I'll call it a day. It's not really how it works, right? As much as us sitting on this side, just play the game to review it, there's a lot more that goes into it behind the scenes with, you know, business calls, marketing strategy, all these other things that line up. How much is that taken away over the decade and a half from their families? All this work. And people want this as their dreams until they get into it, Scott, and realize really what the gaming industry has a toll on when it comes to your family life and stuff like that.
Oh, I have a friend that felt that sting specifically, actually. But I really hope these people that are involved in this company have an incredible portfolio, a great resume to put forward, and I can only hope they get picked up, respective partners.
Yeah, like they're not, man, they produce great games, so hopefully they'll be able to move on. Our hearts go with them. I look forward to see what they create next for those who do move on to the industry, and hopefully we get to kind of reach out and talk to them sooner than later. But at the same time, I'm curious to see what happens to the studio. Like, they are shutting the studio down, but they both still love the video game industry. So, dude, once you're a part of it, like, you never quite leave, do you?
That's what I think.
Yeah. So maybe this is just a way to say, hey, we're just kind of like downsizing. So Mimimi may be shutting down, but maybe they'll start up later under a smaller name, or under a new name, but under a smaller team, and continue on that way. Maybe then it might be a little bit easier to manage something like a 9-to-5. Just, dude, that just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in our world, what we do, right? Yeah, so I don't know. But again, heartbreaking, understandable. We wish them all the best, and good luck with whatever comes next. And I'm just going to miss their games. How am I ever going to miss their games? Scott, because the game isn't big enough, Larian says it's discussing potential Baldur's Gate 3 DLC. This is Tom Ivan over at BGC. Senior product manager Tom Butler told IGN that the studio is currently focused on releasing the console version of Baldur's Gate 3 and that it will be occupied with patching the base game for the foreseeable future. However, he also said Larian is thinking about ways in which it could potentially expand the game, which was released on PC on August 3rd, coming to PlayStation 5 in early September, and eventually to Xbox. I don't know when.
Eventually.
Yeah, we don't know when, right? There's been no official date for the Xbox version, but we do know PlayStation 5 is getting in like the first week of September. Quote, "We'll carry on patching for a while, and then we're all going to take a holiday." No kidding. "And then we'll figure out what to do next," end quote, he said. Quote, "But at the moment, we genuinely have discussions. We want to do more. We don't know what yet," end quote. Larian released the first major Baldur's Gate 3 patch last week, addressing over 1,000 bugs, balancing, flow issues, and much, much more, according to the studio. And today, it teased the arrival of the game's second big update. Patch 2 is around the corner, the studio said. It features major performance improvements, many new tweaks and changes, and begins our journey incorporating feedback into the origin characters' epilogues, among other major things. Details coming soon. Scott, it's funny, I played this game 4 years ago. 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Right? And
it was a long time ago now.
Yeah, it was a Stadia kind of exclusive thing at the time. It worked really well back then, and now with it coming to actual PC and PlayStation just around the corner, and eventually, like I said, Xbox, the game has taken the world by storm, dude. Like, everybody's all over it. They're talking about the stories, they're talking about this interaction, that interaction, and the amount of hours people are going to be sinking into Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be endless. And now they're talking about DLC. Does that scare you at all?
Oh, it's something I asked a friend of mine about, actually, because
Nice.
he's been on this game very solid since release. And I said, well, what is the longevity like? How are you still playing? And he goes, oh, yeah, not going to put this down for a long time. And he was excitedly thinking, well, there is going to be some DLC coming out eventually, whatever it is he was interested in. So I'm thinking this is going to continue the life cycle of this game. I haven't seen numbers for concurrent players, but it must still be record-breaking. From what I imagine, the hype, the discussion around this game has just been incredible. And of course they're going to want to make some more money out of it if that's possible. This is a business.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is business, right? But if they can offer players more content and keep them going, then why not? It keeps the players excited, right? It keeps them involved. I think there's so much to discover within Baldur's Gate 3 that it's going to be pretty well feel like it's endless in a sense, where people are still playing Skyrim to this day, right? So I kind of think of that in the same vein, where this could be going on for years, like 5 years, 6 years from now. We're still going to be talking about, hey, so-and-so just found this in Baldur's Gate 3, right? And then the DLC drops, so you're just like, man, so much content. You get almost somewhat overwhelmed. But it is, man, a part of me wants to really dive in because I love the conversation that's been created around Baldur's Gate. But at the same time, I'm like, I know that combat just doesn't really suit my style. And that's what I'm hearing a lot of, right? Everybody's like, yo, the story, the interaction, this, that, and the other, so good. But the combat, if I could skip the combat, like, maybe that's the way I could get in. But I don't know. At the end of the day, dude, Baldur's Gate 3 sounds like it's going to be RPG of the year.
I'm thinking it's game of the year. Having not played it myself, it's a bit of a tenuous statement, but based on crowd reaction, everybody seems to love this. I've yet to hear a bad thing beyond just maybe the combat's not for me. That's not really a bad critique.
No, that's just more of a preference than anything else, right? If you're not that turn-based kind of top-down perspective combat style, then no, it's not really going to click. And that's kind of where it takes me out of right there. I'm like, I want to get in. And when I played it, dude, back 4 years ago, that was my problem. Again, was the combat. So I just wasn't into it as much as what everybody else is, right? And then you're rolling dice, and then you're hoping you're going to connect, and sometimes you don't, and it misses. And
sounds like we both need to be a bard, therefore escaping a lot of the combat by skill checks.
Fair enough, fair enough.
It is Dungeons and Dragons after all.
It is, right? And that's what it plays off of, and it does it very, very well. So excited for players to get in, have more content to play is always very cool. And the success should lead into Baldur's Gate 4, Scott?
I think that's pretty guaranteed at this point. I don't know if that'll be a decade away, but likely.
Yeah, that's just it. Oh yeah, a holiday, as they said, right, is long overdue, I'm sure.
Oh yes, and well deserved.
Scott, Rainbow Six director offers an update on the new movie. Cade Under over at comicbook.com. It was recently announced that John Wick director Chad Stahelski will helm a Rainbow Six film starring Michael B. Jordan. Not Michael Jordan, just Michael B. Jordan. We've seen him in the past, so he's in some pretty cool movies. Of course, this is also based on the book from Tom Clancy, but most people will recognize it as Ubisoft's popular FPS franchise. Absolutely. Chad also hasn't pushed back on it being a game adaptation, and it seems like something he's really excited by. With that, he said, it may be a while before we see it on the big screen. Chad stated on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast that there are some issues with the development of Rainbow Six right now, but it is something he's still passionate about. I would love to work with Michael B. Jordan on Rainbow, he said. You know, we're in a bit of a conundrum with development, though, as there's a strike going on. So,
yeah, that's the biggest problem.
Absolutely. Dude, there was a setup. I can't remember the name of the movie, but there's a setup to the Rainbow Six movie with Michael B. Jordan. And we saw that, dude, and it was cool. I'm like, this is a setup. We're getting there. Like, it's setting up the whole thing when we get into some of the operators that we so know and love from the franchise. That there is an opportunity here, but I don't know, man. But granted, we're starting to see a lot of games come over to the movie side of things or the TV side being adapted over there and doing really well. So there's opportunities.
I'm thinking positively. I think this might be really good. It's just a matter of what story do you follow. I'm hoping for Vegas.
Oh, dude. Yeah, you know, that's a good point. Vegas would be a good one. There's no doubt about it. If he's gonna go off of the game itself, then Vegas probably, you can't do Rainbow Six Siege. There's story there, but it's not.
How many bombs can you defuse in a movie?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Time will tell, though, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. Scott, there's a couple games out today, and one that you and Steve even reviewed. What do we have today?
That's right. We have 100 Days Winemaking Simulator. That one sounds nice, and that's on the Xbox One and the X.
I found out I had to rely on seasons and not financial quarters.
The Bridge Curse Road to Salvation is on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, XS, and the Switch. And our pretty happily accepted Daymare 1994 Sandcastle is out on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, XS, and PC. And we did just today drop a review on that one. And if you're curious, I have to recommend it. One of my favorite series.
There you go. Make sure you swing over to InsideTheGame.ca or our YouTube channel at Inside the Game Official to check out that review.
I need your ass over here, okay?
Well, that'll wrap up ITG Daily, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. This is where we bring you the hottest in gaming news each and every day. And we'll be back again tomorrow. I'm Drew. That's Scott.
And we'll see you inside the game.